Parish council elections take place every 4 years. When a parish council loses a council member mid-term, the usual way to replace that councillor is by co-option at no cost to the parish council or to yourselves. However, if the community do not have faith in their parish council members to select an appropriate replacement, then they have the right to call an election rather than allow co-option by existing councillors. This scenario was borne out last year in Thornton Le Dale, when residents called for an election to replace a single candidate and later to replace the 5 members who resigned following the parish poll vote of no confidence. Previously, the cost of an election, around about £13,000, was picked up by the former Rydale District Council. However, the new unitary North Yorkshire Council now have 731 parish councils, and as by-elections are increasingly more frequent, they had the potential to create considerable expense for the North Yorkshire Council. A very sensible decision was therefore taken by the North Yorkshire Council not to cover the expense of any PC by-elections. The community that called that election would in effect have to pay for it through their parish council precept. Recently, a vacancy arose on the parish council due to the sad death of Henry Halsworth. If you've watched the published films of the parish council meetings, you will see that since the election last September, the council has moved from chaos to competence, despite being left in a very difficult position following the previous locum clerk leaving and retaining all the property that belonged to the parish council. A notice of casual vacancy was published, and astonishingly, despite knowing the cost of around £13,000, 10 residents called for an election rather than allowing the present members to co-opt a replacement. However, at the closing time for submission of nominations, only one candidate had put their name forward, and they were therefore elected unopposed and without the associated expense, thankfully. It does beg the question of why 10 residents would request an election at the cost of around £13,000 to you, the residents of this village, when they couldn't even field a candidate. The only conclusion I can draw was that this was a sheer vanity project. They did it just because they could, and they did. The expense of an election has thankfully been spared. The good news is that as an uncontested elected member, June now has the same authority as the other elected members, and therefore a stronger voice than had she simply been co-opted. From my experience at many levels of local government, a strong council will inevitably attract a strong candidate. I would like to thank June for being that strong candidate, to offer her my support if or when she needs it, and to wish June every success for the future. Thank you, June.